My name is Tim Scott, for those of you who don't know me. I was at the Academy for almost 15 years. And Rachel Damon was my partner in crime there, and she's here to take pictures today. And I wanted to announce that at the end, if you're a Fryeburg Academy graduate, we're going to do a picture up here of all the graduates, and Rachel will take that at the very end, after Ken sings his beautiful song to us. Thank you, Ken. It's a real honor to be able to be here today to pay respects to Hazel and Dick, good friends for a long time at the Academy. Dick had a long and fantastic life, and all of you know that. And as I'm actually a licensed minister, I have an opportunity to make an expression today that's not going to be short on scripture, but long on stories, hopefully. And that's the way I think Dick would have wanted it. A celebration of life is just that. A celebration of a life well lived, people well met, joys well received, adventures well pursued, and hurdles well overcome. From the Bible, passage John, chapter 11, verses 25 and 26. Jesus told her, "I am the resurrection and the life. Anyone who believes in me will live even after dying. Everyone who lives in me and believes in me will never die." Amen. Dick Thompson, as you all know, personifies all of the things I just mentioned. He was in the service, he worked for IBM, he had a wonderful life. He and Hazel for over 50 years. He was kind, he was smart, boy was he smart. And he was generous, and boy was he generous. And continues to be even in his afterlife. He was both interested in things that you're doing, and he was interesting, telling you the things that he and Hazel were doing. And again, it was always he and Hazel, it was never just Dick. And I think that's a wonderful tribute to both of them. He was also a very good friend of mine. Loved it when they would come to visit. I first met Hazel and Dick in August of 1999 at the fairgrounds, at what would be my first of many Fryeburg Academy reunions. They were stalwarts in coming back to the school whenever their travels and later his health was allowed. I also think it's important to make today about Hazel and Dick, because they were the quintessential couple. And I know he's smiling down on all of us, knowing that you're all set. You're well taken care of, your friends are here, and you made it on the plane after all. As I mentioned, I always look forward to their visits to the alumni office, as well as seeing them when we gathered in Florida for those wonderful gatherings, which were the best if you ever went to them. They were ever present, he a loyal and involved alumnus of that wonderful old school. There was always a big smile from Dick and a twinkle in his eye. If you knew him, you knew that. And then there was always a really good hug from Hazel, and you haven't lost your touch. And then there'd be really good conversation. Whenever we were together, you always had something to share about their travels in the motorhome, their times back and forth traveling around the country. They made the most of the post-IBM years. It was also notable that for as long as I knew him, Dick found ways to leverage his giving, which was a really smart thing. By working for IBM and being retired, he was able to leverage every dollar he gave something like 4 times. And he gave dozens and dozens of computers to the school through that program. And that made a big difference. He was also a deeply clever man, and he understood the simple magic of a matching donation, much to our gratitude and delight at the Academy. And I hope you all had a chance to know in the obituary that gifts that are given in memory are hopefully will go to the Scott Kelly Scholarship. And Sandy is here today joining us. We all love Scott and we all love Sandy. So that's an opportunity to do that as well. He also brought his brilliance to their neighbors over the years. And wherever they lived in a group, in a community of people, whether they're transients who in motorhomes or people who stayed the year or half a year. And he would joke that he'd be one of those few older people, older in quotes I say, because he understood computers. And if you live anywhere and you have a computer problem and you don't understand it, and believe me, I'm 67 and I don't understand it. Dick did. He was endlessly diagnosing and repairing people's computers and would never take any money in payment. He just enjoyed helping people. And I think selfishly, it was good for him to keep sharp, keep doing these things, because he enjoyed helping others and he enjoyed learning new things all the time. And I'm hoping today that you'll have stories like this too. There's a moment in these gatherings where we can all share stories, and I'm hoping some of you will. You won't be shy, because this is an opportunity for somebody to hear them one more time. These memories and tributes gathered over shared lifetimes are what brings us together today. So we can share what we remember and to mark together with words, music, food, wonderful food from Wally, and a bit of ceremony, which is this part. The remarkable influence of one person and one life on each of us. I wrote something years ago about, it's called In Memoriam, and it's amazing when you read someone's obituary how interesting their life was, that most of us don't even know. I don't know some of the early history of Dick's time before I knew them. But the more you read, you realize that people are far more interesting than what they did for a living. And it doesn't matter what faith you observe. This is not a religious gathering. But every faith shares a common thread that tells you this. As long as we remember someone, today, tomorrow, from time to time in the years to come, they remain alive. And for each of us, assuring immortality is therefore in the hands of all of us who remain. And so this celebration is not intentionally maudlin, or sentimental, formal, not formal, or sad. Today is not a sad day. It is simply our celebration of the life and legacy of a wonderful man, husband, uncle, friend, and alumnus of Fryeburg Academy. So right now, I would welcome anyone to stand up and share stories. Please don't be shy. Yes?
Yes, my name is Sarah Thurston Clemens, and I grew up in West Fryeburg next door to Dickie, Cheryl, Ralph, and Violetta. And so my story isn't really going to be anything about a computer. We all, across the road between Ralph and Violetta and Violet and Urban's house, there was a field, and we all played baseball in the field and did other things. But I'm the little younger sister of Bruce, and I used to tag along and try to, see what was going on. And then I'd sit and listen to Bruce and Chummy Watson and Dickie tell the stories of what they'd done. And Violetta and Ralph had gone away.
Yeah.
I'm not sure Cheryl was in the house or not, but I think she probably was. And the boys decided they'd get Violetta's parakeet, a few drinks of alcohol. And they did, and I think the parakeet survived, because if it hadn't, I don't think Dickie and Bruce would have survived. But it's just very hard, because you have such wonderful neighbors and neighborhoods when we were growing up. And Dickie came and Hazel came to my 60th birthday party over at my brother Bruce's house. We had a weekend gathering and we had a wonderful time. And it's a wonderful memory that I will keep forever, and all the other memories that we had growing up over in West Fryeburg.
Thank you, Sarah. That was great. Knowing Sarah, I know that she would never miss an opportunity to get up and say something. So thank you for doing that. So would someone like to follow Sarah's lead? Bruce?
How about another Thursday?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm Bruce Thurston. If I get in tears, it's because I love the man. But I didn't plan on standing up, and I don't really, but I'm going to tell you something right now. America, the people you know, the livelihood you have, you all better appreciate it, because Dick has contributed so much to others that it's almost impossible to believe. So as a kid, we had some pretty damn good times in life. And the whole thing goes back to we was allowed it. Plus Ralph would let his car and never come back the same as we took it. But we had quite a lot of fun with that. But I just wanted to acknowledge that, to me, Dickie Thompson was my brother.
Thank you, Bruce.
Tim gave me way too much credit. I have to pass out the credit to Tim, to Wally, who took a huge stress off my shoulders, to Kenny for answering the call, for Becky, for Rob, and for Fryeburg Academy loaning me stuff. I loved your story, Sarah. I also have one kind of like that, but it was with the rooster.
I was going to say it, but I didn't know anybody drank it. Appreciate it.
It was a rooster, Bruce, Melvin, and Chum.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yes, the parents were gone. They thought the rooster was thirsty. And they kept feeding the rooster, I believe it was beer.
If we had it, he drank it.
Well, yeah, and the rooster would start to and fall off the fence. And they'd prop him back up there again, and over and over and over, poor rooster.
He lived through the next day, thank God.
Well, yes. I think, didn't Ralph pick up on that though?
Yeah.
I think he did, if I remember.
That rooster get on and tighten the chair. Of course, I shouldn't be saying this probably, it's probably terrible. But he did. He got a little liquidated up, and he'd put his foot right out, and he'd start to get off that chair flying. He'd put that right foot up, and he just press back in. That was crazy as hell.
I heard that story.
Yeah.
From you, from Dickie, from Melvin, John.
Yeah.
For so many years, yeah. I didn't realize they did it to the parakeet.
We had
Or the parrot.
we had nothing against the rooster. We just didn't know better.
Well, no, that was your entertainment. That was, yeah, some of your more innocent entertainment. Okay, so well, anyway, yeah. I came to know Dick when I was a teenager. Sister Cheryl and I were classmates. And I found out today from Paige, she never realized that Melvin and Dick were cousins. Many people did not realize that. Yeah. Dick and I, we had this relationship. We would butt heads because he always wanted me to keep him updated on Fryeburg Academy especially, which I did. And yeah. We didn't always agree. We did projects together. We didn't always agree, but we would come to an agreement. And we'd pull it off. I don't know, thank God. Yeah. In 2016, I nominated Dickie for Distinguished Alum Award at the Academy. And I would like to share, although actually Tim has hit on a few of these, But I would like to share why, my reasoning behind his nomination. Richard Thompson, better known as Dick, graduated from Fryeburg Academy in the class of 1961. While at the academy, Dick played in sports, football 4 years, and basketball his junior and senior year. Upon graduation, Dick entered the military, joining the U.S. Army. While fulfilling his commitment, he learned computer skills, and those skills have served him well throughout his life. Upon his discharge from the service, he was offered a job with IBM, working with computers and troubleshooting. I don't think Dick realized when he started his career all the lives he would touch or all the good he would do for so many. While living in New York, he and Hazel both did volunteer work at the Vanderbilt Gardens for many years. It was in Dick's nature to help where and when it was needed. Throughout the years, and no matter where he was living, he always stayed loyal to Fryeburg Academy, contributing in many ways, whether it was a monetary donation or in later years supplying computers for many classrooms and departments. In the final stages of building the buy and cram library, Dick became aware of the need of laptops for the computer station. This need came to him because of the death of a family member, my oldest daughter, Mary Ann. Upon her death, Dick and Hazel came to our house and said they wanted to do something in Mary Ann's memory. His suggestion was a scholarship or the computers for the library. We chose the computers, feeling that more students would benefit. Of course, he and his wife Hazel had contributed to the capital campaign, beginning with the building of the Wadsworth Arena. Upon the completion of the Laura Hill Eastman Fine Arts Theater, he and Cheryl purchased theater seats in memory of their parents. In recent years, he has donated to the music department and then discovered the science department was in need of computers. Immediately, he had 24 computers and a storage station to recharge and maintain them, while making sure that this and all other laptops were loaded with the programs that were necessary for each curriculum. He also was a member of the Case Society at the Academy. Throughout the years, Dick wanted me to keep him updated to what was happening at school and any projects that he might be able to help and contribute to. One such project was acquiring the land and property off of House Street to add additional playing fields. It had been brought to my attention that the Academy was lacking an entrance or an exit off from Level Pond Road. Knowing that Dick was in possession of the much-needed piece of property, I called him in Florida and asked if he would like to donate that property, which would enable the Academy to finish this project. A few days later, he called me with the news that it was a done deal. His help and contributions extend beyond the Academy, as he has contributed to Fryeburg Historical Society, Parsons Field Historical, also making a difference in Porter and Sockopee Valley schools. He is just as generous with individuals that are in need, but throughout all of his giving, he does it quietly. He gives of his time freely, teaching computer classes to the elderly and troubleshooting for many in times of need. I have been known to call him in Florida with a problem on my computer, and he would walk me through it, right, Abel? Many times. And he would walk me through it and fix it. I referred to Dick for many years as my computer guru. Because of all the things that I have just said to you, this is why I nominated him for Distinguished Alum. And I am so happy that he got it. Thank you.
What I want to share now is a poem that was written by Henry Scott Holland, who was a theologian back in the time of King Edward VII in England. It was over 100 years ago. Perhaps you've heard it. It's called Death is Nothing at All. Death is nothing at all. It does not count. I have only slipped away into the next room. Nothing has happened. Everything remains exactly as it was. I am I, and you are you. And the old life that we lived so fondly together is untouched and unchanged. Whatever we were to each other, that we are still. Call me by the old familiar name. Speak of me in the easy way you always used. Put no difference in your tone. Wear no forced air of solemnity or sorrow. Laugh as we always laughed at the little jokes that we enjoyed together. Play, smile, think of me, pray for me. Let my name ever be the household word that it always was. Let it be spoken without an effort, without the ghost of a shadow upon it. Life means all that it ever meant. It is the same as it ever was. There is absolute and unbroken continuity. What is death but a negligible accident? Why should I be out of mind because I am out of sight? I am but waiting for you for an interval somewhere very near, just around the corner. All is well. Nothing is hurt, nothing is lost. One brief moment, and all will be as it was before. How we shall laugh at the trouble of parting when we meet again. Now I have one bit of scripture before Ken Brown will share his beautiful voice. This is from Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verses 1 to 8. This will be familiar to many of you. To everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to harvest, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to gain and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and thankfully a time of peace. Amen. Ken?
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I was lost, but now am found. I was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. There's grace that brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. For I've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see.